Hey, welcome everyone to a review of the QuietComfort Ultra over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones. Now, if you want to see the written version of this review, you can find a link to my website in the video description below. So, the big question about it is how do they perform and how do they perform compared to the Bose 700? The reason being for that is because the 700 was considered the premium, like top-of-the-line noise-canceling headphones you can get from Bose up until here, the Ultra, which replaces the 700 version. So, the big question is, what is the difference between this and the 700? And to be honest, finding that information is a little difficult on the internet. But from my research, what I found is different compared to the Ultra and the 700 is a few things. The first is that this now supports immersive audio, which I'll touch on later. It has better noise canceling, which again I'll touch on later, and better performing microphones. So we'll cover all those items later on. First, let's start off with the price. Here in Canada, it's priced at $549 before tax and $429 in the US. In fact, that is so expensive. These are priced at a higher markup than they were from the 700. The Ultra is $70 more Canadian starting price than the 700s used to be for, and $50 more US. So the question is, are they really worth that heavy price tag, or was Bose just trying to release these headphones quickly to market to up the price of their super premium headphones? Well, in this review, we're going to try to find that out. For connectivity, it does support a wired and wireless connection. For that wired connection, it uses a 3.5 to 2.5 millimeter cable, 2.5 millimeter obviously going into the headphones, and 3.5 millimeter going into your audio source. Now, there is a ultra fail for the Ultra headphones. Get it? Get it? So this is a big letdown because the wired connection, you cannot use it when the battery's dead. Yeah, the headphones need battery power in order to use it in wired mode. Headphones that are about a quarter of the price of these can do that with battery depleted and just plug it in the auxiliary cable. That's pretty much most of the point of having an auxiliary cable. Here you need batteries, so big bummer there. Another thing to keep in mind is that you cannot use the headphones while they are recharging, which is pretty typical for most headphones. But to be more specific, you can't use them in wireless Bluetooth mode while they're charging, but you can use it in wired auxiliary mode while they are charging. It does support Bluetooth 5.3, which is one of the latest standards of Bluetooth technology, and that's important for immersive audio, which again I'll touch base on later. In terms of range, Bose advertises a range of about 30 feet. In my testing, I got a little bit better than that because I had the source of my audio on the main level of my house. I was able to go on the second floor of my entire house with no problem. So I was able to slightly surpass 30 feet, but with a one floor barrier in between, so better than Bose's claim. It does support dual connectivity, which basically means you can have it connected to two devices at the same time. So in my testing, I had one device as a computer, second device as a cell phone rings, it pauses the music on my computer, answer the call, and then it'll resume music on the computer once I'm done my phone call. When it comes to how many devices you can keep in memory, it's weird that you can't find that information anywhere on Bose, on their website or in their manual, but in my testing, I was able to get 4 devices in memory before I have to pair them and make them learn all over again how to sync. So 4 devices is plenty for most people. For accessories, yep, as you guessed it, at this hefty price tag, there is a hard carrying case, as well as the auxiliary cable I mentioned earlier, which is measuring in at roughly 43 inches. The USB-A to USB-C cable, unfortunately, it's not pure USB-C. That cable is measuring 12 inches and that is used for charging the headphones. But of course, there is no power adapter included in the box, which is pretty typical for most headphones. So you got to use your own from, say, your cell phone or connect it directly into a computer. The design is a large departure from the previous 700 from Bose. The 700 had a unique body, whereas the Ultra looks more like your traditional over-the-ear headphones. Colors that it comes in is black, white, smoke, and sandstone. The 700 could not fold and collapse in, whereas the Ultra can. But even at this very expensive price, they're not the toughest constructed body. However, weighing in at 250 grams, I put it through some stress tests and it'll handle just fine for your daily use or frequent traveling. Just some word of caution, they are not dust and water resistant because specifically in the manual, it says to not get them wet. And even when you clean them with a damp cloth, it mentions how to be very cautious when doing that. Although if you damage the ear pads, there are some official replacement units coming soon. They're not available as this video recording and posting because they're still too new, but Bose's website do have them available in the future. And if that's the case, then it's also given that third-party vendors are also going to have their replacement units available shortly as well. Now for comfort, these are great. They're superb. So for those of you looking at these for probably lengthy travels, like say a plane ride, maybe a frequent flyer, you'll be in for a treat. They feel fantastic. Even when wearing glasses, yes, I have tested them. With glasses, I wasn't disturbed at all. In general, with or without glasses, my ears never got hot, sweaty, or warm. I always felt fine. Now, when it comes to comfort for working out, don't use them. Couple of reasons why. The first is that I noticed that when using it at odd angles and looking down, even when I'm not jerking my head quickly, just looking down simply, the headband does tend to shift forward a few centimeters. So it kind of gets annoying. You have to kind of fix them because they feel uncomfortable. The second problem is, of course, it's a given with most over-the-ear noise canceling headphones. Well, they're over-the-ear headphones. You're going to sweat like crazy. So let's continue on with a little bit more comfort. A lot of that is attributed to how it's designed, of course. The headband flex isn't too tight or too shallow. It's just kind of in the middle. The ear cup cushioning is very comfortable as it's made out of protein leather. They're very soft, but not thick. They seem to press in easily, but thankfully that doesn't ruin the comfort, just something I want to mention anyway. The interior headband cushioning is one of the best and thickest I've ever used on any headphones. Oddly enough, the cushioning on the headband is thicker than on the ear pads. Not sure how that happened, but that is the case. Headband adjustment is done with a slider. It's not a notch mechanism. And ear cups can rotate up, down, forward, and back to accommodate various head shapes and sizes. Now again, these are going to be very popular amongst travelers, so if you're standing at an airport or train, looking left and right like this on your neck, it's not too bad. With my neck height, it's just barely grazing the bottom of my chin. Looking down is a bit of a pain in the butt. Now if you were to fold them up, not too bad. It's actually much more comfortable to look around, and looking down is much more comfortable. Okay, so switching over to controls. The 700 is very touch-based controls, whereas here, it's a little bit different. On the right ear cup at the bottom is a power button for on, off, or holding will activate Bluetooth pairing mode. Now I put headphones through crazy stress tests and continuous non-stop usage. I do notice a weird thing here, is that multiple times a day I'll turn them on and off on purpose as part of testing. These will actually fail twice per day. So if I'm turning them on and off about 15 to 20 times a day, it'll fail to actually turn on properly once or twice throughout that session. Actually, it does turn on, and then it silently turns back off. So it'll turn on, play the Bose tone, I think it's on. Reality, it's not. It automatically switches back off immediately without any warning. I'm hoping that Bose fixes this with a firmware update, but it is pretty annoying. The next button is a multifunction button. It's single tap will play pause music, a double tap for next track, or triple tap for previous track. And that same button is used for phone calls. So a single tap to answer a call and double tap to hang up a call. Wait, hold on. Shouldn't you single tap to hang up the call? Because you're on the call, it's a single tap, just hang up. You would expect that, right? But no, you have to double tap to hang up the call. In fact, a single tap while on a call will place the current call on hold and then answer a second incoming call. Basically, single tap should have been used for both answering and hanging up a single call. Keep it simple for people. I'm not sure if Bose is trying to overcomplicate things. Now, there is a control to activate your smart assistant when connected to a smartphone. It's not done by a physical button, it's done by pressing and holding on the touch rocker, which I'll cover very shortly. And here's the problem. With Android and Google Assistant, it doesn't work that well. Sometimes it'll play the tone that Google Assistant is ready and listening for a command, and it'll just work flawlessly. Sometimes it will not play the tone, but it's waiting for a command to be said anyway. You just have to guess that it's working and start speaking your command. Sometimes it will do nothing. You'll hear the tone prompt about 10 seconds later, and then 10 seconds later, Google's ready to start taking commands. So these headphones don't play nice with Android and Google Assistant for some reason, and the oddities continue. So there is side tone available. Side tone basically means that when you're on a phone call, you're talking away on the headphones, you can hear your own voice and your surroundings, and it'll project into the headphones on purpose so you can hear how loud you're speaking, how loud the surroundings are. So side tone is available, except it doesn't work. Yeah, I kid you not. There's an option to adjust how sensitive you want it. Again, I'm demonstrating the app. Whether I turn it to high sensitivity, medium, low, or off, it's always just off. It does simply not work. Again, I'm not sure if this is an issue that hopefully Bose can fix with the firmware update. The last type of control to cover is passive play pause. So if you're listening to music on your computer, for example, with the headphones on, no problem. Take the headphones off, your content will automatically pause. Put the headphones back on and your content will automatically resume once again. Just slightly in front of the physical control buttons is a volume rocker. So sliding up will go to volume up, sliding down will go to volume down. This touch sensitivity seems to be rather accurate in my testing. Been some letdowns with these headphones so far. Unfortunately, noise canceling has to be added to that list. It is a huge letdown. No, I'm just messing with you. In fact, it's the complete opposite. I would argue, out of all the headphones I've ever used, all the earbuds I've ever reviewed, these are probably the best. It's just pure magic. I don't know what Bose did or how they accomplished it. It is truly phenomenal. So let's cover the basics of a little area. So noise canceling for low humming sounds, but they can be very loud. Say a car engine or the engine of a bus, engine of a plane, what have you. Those will be canceled out rather well. That's kind of what you expect, especially such quality headphones from Bose. What really surprised me, and the best performance I've ever heard, is from vocals. People talking around me at really loud volumes, like just really with energy and emphasis. These canceled it out the best. And a lot of noise canceling headphones tend to struggle with canceling out more higher pitch sounds like vocals. These were able to cancel out the best that I've ever heard or didn't hear because they're ANC. Huh? I'm confused. Anyway, you get the idea. Now let's go on the opposite side of things, transparency mode, which basically has sound project into the microphones. So it projects the sound into the ear cups so you can hear your surroundings easily. Again, probably the best I've ever used on any headphones. The audio clarity is just fantastic. I could have someone continuously talking or a music video playing that my kids are watching. And honestly, so I'll have the headphones on with transparency mode and I hear everything crystal clear. And because that music is continuously going or they're continuously talking, depending on the scenario, as I took the headphones off, I didn't notice a difference. That's how good they sound. They sound like real life, as if I was hearing directly through my ears. Not only that, the range is the best I've ever heard as well. Most headphones tend to be decent at listening to transparency mode within 10 to 20 feet maximum. These ones I can go about 30 feet and still hear very clearly as to what's going on in my surroundings. Best transparency mode I've ever heard anywhere. But hold on, there is a big catch here, and a big catch. There's no regular passive noise cancelling mode, so basically regular headphone mode. You can't just turn off the additional technology of ANC and transparency mode and just have regular headphone mode to, increase the battery performance because it's using less technology. That doesn't exist on these very expensive headphones, unfortunately. Battery performance is rather disappointing, as Bose claims for noise cancelling and transparency mode battery lasts only 24 hours, where at this price point the de facto should be minimum 30 hours. And my multiple battery drain tests for both transparency and ANC mode, I averaged 28.1 hours, better than Bose's claim, but still rather low. For immersive mode, Bose claims to get about 18 hours, but in my performance, I got 22.2 hours. Bose claims that it takes a full 3 hours to recharge the headphones. In my experience, that's never happened once. I always average just 2 hours, so significantly better than what Bose claims. The USB-C charging port itself is located on the bottom of the left ear cup. Okay, so all audio that I hear right now is through the Ultra Headphones microphones in a quiet setting. I'm gonna switch over to a replicated noisy environment and then play through the camera so you can see how loud and annoying it is, and then switch over to the Ultra headphones to see if we can suppress a lot of the background noise, and then finally do a wind test. Okay, we're in a replicated noisy environment with the camera microphone. You can see it sounds pretty awful. It's hard to understand what I'm saying. Switching over to the Ultra microphones, you get an idea of what it sounds like when the noise is being suppressed, and I stop talking for a few seconds. You can make out for yourself if you think it works pretty well. And lastly, I'm replicating a wind simulated environment with the fan sitting about 5 feet away from me, and you can make up for yourself as to what you think about the audio quality while replicating wind noise. Audio codecs supported is SBC and AAC. No surprise there. Well, a lot of people might not realize that they actually support aptX. And the reason I say that might be surprising is because Bose doesn't really advertise that anywhere on their website. Only by digging into the manual very deeply did I find out, hey, this actually supports aptX. Bonus factor, right? And it works fairly well. In terms of latency, I don't really notice it on my audio source, so definitely something Bose should advertise more frequently. Audio quality out of the box is really well balanced. I found that the audio for any type of genre of songs was just pretty equal. So bass was not overpowering to compare it to mids and highs, but it wasn't too low either. I'm a bass enthusiast, but I found it pretty respectable. Again, at a flat profile out of the box. Vocals sounded great and highs were not too bad, but vocals in my opinion shined the best at a flat profile. Now, there is a native equalizer in the app, which again I'll demonstrate later in the app section of this review. And this is where things truly shine. When it comes to bass performance, it performs significantly better than the Bose QuietComfort. Again, those headphones released just like 2 weeks before these and are slightly cheaper. However, the bass doesn't get as deep as other headphones that are, say, less than half the price of these from, say, Soundcore, for example. Not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that you can still get better performance at a way cheaper price when it comes to bass. However, it's still really great experience. Again, I'm a bass enthusiast. Even when listening to songs like, say, Code from Offset, that song can get super deep and punch hard. The great thing is that when you increase the bass, it doesn't distort the audio, it still sounds crystal clear. Where the equalizer shines is with vocals. There's some sort of secret magic that Bose did here. I don't know how to explain it. It's the best I've ever heard for vocals. When you increase the vocals up in the app, it's emphasizing the vocals a lot. They get pushed to the front. It sounds like it's someone singing in front of you. It just sounds so damn good. But here's a weird thing. Usually when you do it, it doesn't matter how good the headphones have ever been in my experience, when you just increase the mids, you'll kind of notice that the audio, other than the vocals, kind of gets a little distorted and warped as it's trying to adjust, and then your ears kind of get used to it and it's fine. With this, you don't notice any transition or adjustment. It's really hard to explain. So when listening to songs that are very great at vocals, like say Cold Heart, the PNAU remix from Elton John, and Dua Lipa. Oh well. And the last thing to cover is highs. Nothing special here. It's not bad, but it's nothing super unique, like say the vocals. They can get pretty sharp. In fact, a bit too sharp for my ears, depending on what song is being played. But you can always just lower that in the equalizer. But overall, highs sound pretty good when adjusted accordingly to your preference. Audio quality with glasses is pretty much what you expect. It sounds pretty decent at a flat profile. When you increase a certain level of audio, so whether it's bass, mids, or highs, especially with bass, I noticed that a lot of the sound and the quality of that audio, that particular feature, like bass for example, leaks out. That's because you're wearing over-the-ear headphones where the glasses kind of poke into the frame. So some of the sound kind of leaks out a little bit. So just something to be mindful about. Okay, so immersive audio, which we'll cover in the app, you'll get a better understanding what I'm talking about. There's two features to this. One is still, which basically for to pretend that the camera that's been recording of this video is the source of my audio, like a computer, for example. What I'll try to do is make that sound like I'm listening to external speakers. So when I turn my head this way, the sound will sound like it's coming from there. It works pretty well, actually. It's pretty cool. I find it a little bit more of a gimmick, but hey, if you want to have it, you can use it. It works just fine. Motion is a little bit different. It doesn't make the sound like it's traveling in certain directions based on which way you turn, where instead of it just being stereo, where it's just two directions coming straight into your ear, that's the default. But I noticed more like it's trying to mimic surround sound as if you're listening to external speakers. Some songs sound a little bit more lively, like you're sitting with next to multiple speakers around you. Sounds pretty good. Other songs do get ruined. So I find this feature is more of fun to have when it works. I wouldn't use it seriously with all songs because it really depends on what you're listening to. Okay, so here we are in the app. I'm going to dive over to my list of devices and go to the Ultra headphones. And it's pretty much generic what you find with most Bose headphone equipment. Here you can adjust the volume if you want to. Going into modes is ANC mode, aware mode, which is basically your transparency mode. Now here's a problem I have. You can adjust the ANC levels if you want to. So how much ANC do you want? You have to add a custom profile template, like I have here called home, and then enter the options from here, and then you can adjust it. You can't just go to the home screen of the app and then modify it from here. It's a very manual and overly complicated process for some bizarre reason. Sources is basically how many devices you have synced into your memory. Equalizer, well, EQ rather, is the equalizer itself. It's very basic. Now, a lot of people would be disappointed it's not a full-blown equalizer, but honestly, this will get the job done for most people. And as I mentioned, it works rather well. Immersive audio is where you can choose between the two options that I mentioned. Shortcut is what I basically mentioned, that when you touch and hold the volume rocker, what happens? By default, it's here your battery level. That's just to Smart Assistant, and I had that challenging experience with Google Assistant. Tips is like basically an inbuilt guide or manual, if you will. The settings cog icon at the top right from the main screen is basically a continuation of a lot of the things from the home screen. Some non-important things like say renaming your device. But there are some other interesting things here you have. One is self-voice. As I mentioned, it just simply does not work no matter what I do here. On head detection, it'll detect if you're wearing the headphones to automatically play pause content or not. And most importantly, perhaps, is also firmware updates. There is one feature that should have been available at this very expensive price tag. Unfortunately, it's not here. So some headphones from like say the Sony XM5s or the Sennheiser Momentum 4 have a feature that when you press and hold a button or hold an ear cup, it depends, it'll automatically lower the volume to like almost 5%, activate transparency mode so you can talk to someone if they're talking to you in person. When you let go of that button or ear cup, it'll automatically resume ANC mode and resume max volume. Unfortunately, quick discussion mode is simply just not available on these headphones. The Bose Ultra are, well, it's weird because audio is fantastic. ANC and transparency is the best I've ever heard, but the price tag is way too high. But look, if you're a hardcore Bose fan, which a lot of people are, or if you're looking more just the best ANC performance you can get, bang for buck, probably check out the Ultras. But for everything else, I'll let you decide what you think. And that's a wrap for this review. So if you found this video useful, be sure to check out my social links and website link in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.